been 6 years since we sailed out here through the Golden Gate with one goal: to develop the technology to rid the world's oceans of plastic.
I want to ask a little more about recycling because it is such a large amount of plastic that the Ocean Cleanup is aspiring to pull out of the ocean every year. If there's 40 million pounds of plastic coming out, how is that all going to get recycled? Is there enough capacity in North America or in the world for all that?
So certainly right now there isn't enough capacity in North America, which is why our recycling supply chain, whilst incredibly efficient and sophisticated, requires us to certify, guarantee provenance with an external third party, and then ship it through to Europe to go through the proper recycling needed to get it of a grade that is then able to be turned into multiple other products, like the ones that we've got in development with Kia and various other partners. To date, so far, I think you've seen people wearing our sunglasses. So there's lots of use cases for the plastic, but it is expensive plastic, right? And that's one of the tragedies, in that virgin plastic, as they call it, which is a phrase I hate because it makes it sound pure and nice,
right.
But it's the plastic that has just been made, is controlled by oil prices and therefore can be much, much cheaper than first generation recycled. And when you get to ocean plastic, which you are literally having to sail 2 vessels to go out to the middle of the Pacific to get, then all of a sudden you get to something that's the equivalent of plastic diamonds.
Right.
So with that does come the second piece. But I think your initial question is really is the crux of it, which is all of this becomes more accessible and doable if it can be closer to port of origin that the recycling can happen. So it is about setting up the recycling infrastructure.
How economical or uneconomical is recycling plastic and making car accessories out of it?
So it's very tough. I mean, it's not the easiest path to creating a new part or a new product, that's for sure. But we think that this worth the investment in terms of cost, but also in terms of manpower, because it's really the first time that we are actually looking at what are the challenges if we were to recycle more parts. As an overall trend in the industry, but also as regulation coming in, we know that we will have to become more, or we will have to utilize more and more recycled plastic. So therefore, we need to get a little bit ahead of the game and understanding what are in stake. And this is really what's been great in this partnership, is really understanding all those issues on our side, on the production side, but also on the ocean cleanup side. What do they need to catch? How do they need to sort? What kind of plastic they need to basically recycle so that we can actually utilize that into value chain. So that's been quite a learning curve for both partners.
So it might not be great economics right now, but it's because you're just starting, learn how it works better, and then scale up as the learnings accumulate.
It's always more difficult. I mean, obviously, the Ocean Cleanup is not a plastic provider. They're not a supplier, right?
Right.
That's not their mission. Their mission is to clean the ocean of plastics, and we believe that this mission is very important to us as well. How to become a more sustainable mobility solution provider, which is the end goal of what Kia is trying to become as a brand.
The recycling that happens in Europe is particularly for the netting, the fishing netting, which is a large percentage of what gets pulled out of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So that's just something that North America, US and Canada just don't have, that specific netting type of product.
They do have a few recyclers, but when you're looking at our vision of scale up in terms of we want to eradicate the hundreds of millions of tons of plastic in the ocean within a 5 to 10 year window, that sort of capacity is something that has to be created and doesn't exist currently. The kind of levels that we're talking about now would have been possible by very few, but because there are very few in North America, they already have their capacities and their inputs taken care of.
I'm sure it's challenging to scale up those kinds of processes? Like this, if there's 2 or 3 there, they can't just add another production line.
And that's, I think all of this needs to be treated in the same way that we treat our partnerships with other industries, is working together to understand the problem, the scale of production that we will require, and look at how it can be seen as something that's beneficial to the country that's doing it, as well as beneficial to the oceans that we're cleaning.
System 3 is truly massive. It's about 1.4 miles in length, which is roughly the same length as the Golden Gate Bridge, actually. And when it's deployed in the ocean, it sweeps an area the size of a football field every 5 seconds. So what this means is that when we take our current achieved level of performance and we add hotspot hunting to that, we predict it is possible to clear the Great Pacific Garbage Patch in half the time at almost half the cost. So that means 5 years and $4 billion.
A big part of the presentation today was about the need to raise funds to pay for the cleanup. What is Kia's involvement, or how do you see that evolving?
So first of all, it's a long-term partnership, and we use the word partnership because it's not just a sponsorship. So it's not about us giving funds and them running the operation. So we really want to create that partnership with them to from trash to treasure. That's really the story that we want to tell, and we want to be an active participant in that storyline. Is how can we take the plastic, the trash that we pick up from the garbage patch, and we basically have a valuable product for a consumer at the end. So that's the story that we want to create, and just being a sponsor wouldn't make that possible. It requires a lot of energy, a lot of manpower on our side as well to make that happen. So it's a 7-year partnership. We're here for the long run, so we'll be partnering for the moment until 2028, and we'll see how it goes after that. So yeah, that's been basically the how the partnership goes. We obviously give some funding, but we also give some help in terms of value in kind. So we provide them with vehicles, with mobility solution when they operate in different parts of the world.
As their partner, you can help them go from an idea to industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the proof of concept will be a great launch for us to show to the world that it's actually possible to take the plastic from the ocean and produce valuable products at an industrial level. Obviously, our goal is also how can we ramp up those parts in the future. So that will be the rest of the partnership that we have with them, is learn how we can ramp up that production of plastic.